Hey gang, I'm gonna play some cards here at the lodge for my second poker vlog. Goal is to run it up from 1-2 all the way up to 2-5. Let's jump straight into the hands. Stick around to the end to see how much I won. I'm gonna focus on my parlay strategy tonight. I'm gonna start on the low stakes table, and if all goes well, run that up to the high stakes table. I sit down and get situated, and I'm immediately rewarded with ace king off. The low jack calls and the cutoff raises to $15. It folds around to me and I decide to 3-bet for $40. The low jack thinks about it for a minute. And the cutoff calls too. The pot's $123. We go 3 ways to the flop. It's 2 of diamonds, 5 of clubs, and 5 of hearts. I'm pretty sure everyone just missed. So I decide to c-bet to $45. The low jack thinks about it for a minute and calls. Unexpectedly, the cutoff folds. The pot's $213. We go to the turn. It's a king of clubs. We bink the turn. Let's go. We're definitely ahead now. I think about it for a minute. I decide to keep the betting aggression going and bet $60. The low jack jams all in. I snap call for 122 total. He has to run it multiple times. I say 1 time for the car. Let's go. I show my ace king. He shows queens. We win a huge $450 pot. We get a full double up. Let's go. It's a great way to start the night. For the second interesting hand of the night, I'm in the small blind and I look down at king of diamonds, queen of clubs. The low jack raises it to 15 and I 3-bet to 45 to isolate. It folds around to the low jack and he calls. Go heads up to the flop. It's king of clubs, king of hearts, 2 of hearts. I start off with a check. The low jack checks back. Turn is a 9 of clubs. I bet $60 and the low jack folds. We take down a nice little pot to keep the momentum going. Next, I'm on the button. I'm in position and I've noticed that the other players are over folding. So I decide to raise blind without even looking at my cards for $20. We'll see what these guys are made of now. The hijack calls, and I look down at my cards, king of spades, 2 of hearts. We're going 2 ways to the flop, which comes ace of diamonds, ace of hearts, 2 of clubs. Bink, we've got 2 pair. With 2 aces out there, I feel like I've got the best of it. So I throw out a bet, $25, and he folds. I show the 2 of hearts just for fun. Things here on 1-2 have gone pretty well. We've won one big pot and several small pots, so we decide to move over to 1-3. We sit down and add on for 300 more. I get settled in on 1-3 and notice that I keep getting clubs. So I decide to play on the button my king 6 of clubs. I call a raise from the cutoff for $15. We go two ways to the flop. It's 10 of diamonds, knight of hearts, jack of clubs. I have a gutter to the straight, and it checks around. We go to the turn. It comes a queen of hearts. We drill the straight. Cutoff checks to me. I think about it for a few minutes. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, it's a pretty dangerous board. So I decide to bet $40 to see where I'm at. The cutoff takes his sweet time before deciding to check raise me to $200. I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm either way ahead or way behind, but ultimately decide to call with my straight. The dealer takes his time counting the chips, making sure the pot's right. And we go to the river. It comes a queen of diamonds. The cutoff thinks about it for a minute and decides to check to me. I jam all in. He snap folds. We win a nice pot. Keeping the mojo going here on 1-3. Let's go. I go through a little card depth for a few minutes, but don't worry, this next one is going to be a big one. I get a little anxious and I look down at Jack 2 of spades. I like either playing in position or sometimes I like being first to act after the flop. So I decide to play this hand. There's a raise from under the gun, the +2 calls, the cutoff calls, I call, and the big blind calls. Going Texas heads up to the flop. I start off with a check. This is perfect because with a hand like this, I want as many people in the pot as possible. We got ourselves two pair. Comes out jack of hearts, 8 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. I start off with a check. The end of the gun throws out a bet of $30. The cutoff calls. So I decide to bump it up with my 2 bear on this dry heavy board. The big blind immediately folds. The under the gun thinks about it for a minute and calls. It folds around to me. Going 2 ways to the turn. It's the 7 of diamonds. I start off with a check. Hoping to set the trap. The villain falls right into it. She bets out $115. I think about it for a minute and call. The river comes out, 2 of hearts. Bink. We hit the full house. Let's go. I think about it for a minute and ultimately decide to go with a polarizing bet and jam all in. I'm hoping that she thinks I'm bluffing and will call. The under the gun goes in the tank for almost 4 full minutes. The dealer counts out my chips. She gets a count. She thinks about it. Tries to ask me several questions to get a read. I'm just staring at the jack. Unfortunately, she ends up folding, so I go ahead and show her that I had it. We win a nice big $420 pot. Let's go. I'm in the low jack and I look down at a premium, ace king of spades. It's a beautiful hand. Small blind bets $40. I call. Small blind calls. Goes around to the +2 and he raises it to $150. I Hollywood for a minute to make it look like I have a decision. And of course I make the call. The small blind also quickly calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop in a 4-bet pot. Flop comes 10 of diamonds, ace of hearts, 10 of hearts. We smash the flop. Small blind checks. The low jack bets $110. I'm thinking with top 2, perfect kicker, I'm either way ahead or way behind. So I decide to raise it up to 235. We immediately take down the pot. Maybe I was a little too aggressive, but hey, we win a nice $795 pot. Let's go. I'm in the big blind and I look down at 7-5 of clubs. A little suited 1-gapper. Been feeling pretty lucky tonight, so I decide to play the hand. The +2 raises to $12. The cutoff 3 bets to 40. I call. It folds around to the +2, who also calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It's 9 of hearts, ace of hearts, 4 clubs. It checks around. The turn is 6 of clubs. I've got a gutter and a flush draw. It checks to the cutoff. He throws out a bet for $100. I'm thinking to myself, I've seen this guy overfold all night. Let me go ahead and call, see if I can drill this. The river is a jack of spades. We miss everything. Like I said, the villain here on my right, he's been overfolding. I've been sensing a little bit of scared money, so I decide to go for it. I throw out a bet at 235 to represent a value bet. I'm hoping he'll fold. My heart's pounding. I know I'm bluffing pretty hard here. He thinks about it for a long time and calls. I immediately mug my cards and say, "Good call, sir." I lose my first significant pot of the night, $375. All good, we'll make it back. I'm in middle position and I look down at my favorite hand, pocket tens. So I raise it to $20. The low jack calls. However, the +2 3 bets to $125. Of course, I'm going nowhere. And you know what? It's my favorite hand, so I raise to $250. Folds around to the +2, and he jams all in. I snap call. I'm going to run it one time. Let's hold. Tens hold against ace king. We win a $1,000 pot. Let's go. Things have been going well on 1-3. I'm up over $1,600. So I decided it's time to move up to 2-5 and see if I can get lucky up there. Let's go. I get settled in, take a look at all the chips on the table. I can't lie that I'm a little intimidated. But immediately I look down at ace of spades, king of diamonds. I'm in the low jack, and I raise it to $45. The cutoff ends up calling. But the small blind decides to raise it to $180. It folds around to me, and I call. Surprisingly enough, the cutoff also calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop. The pot's already $580. It comes 10 of diamonds, 10 of spades, 2 of clubs. I think everyone pretty much whiffed it, so I might be good here with ace king so far. So I start with a check. The small blind C bets to $150. I didn't come this far to fold, so I call. Cutoff folds. We go to the turn, it's an ace of diamonds. We bink the ace. I check again to the aggressor. He bets $325. I think for just a second. Count out my chips. And call. The river is 8 of hearts. It's basically a blank. I'm feeling pretty good about my top 2 pair with top kicker. I count out a value bet. 425 looks good. The villain thinks about it for over a minute. But unfortunately, folds. Hey, but big hand here on 2-5. $1,800 pot. Let's go. I'm on the button and I look down at the beautiful pocket sevens. I call a $45 bet from the villain in middle position. The flop is a 4 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 3 of hearts. It's likely we're still ahead. It checks to me. I count out a bet of $90. Toss it in the middle, and the villain folds. We take down a small pot to keep the momentum going here on 2-5. For the last significant hand of the night, I'm on the hijack, and I look down at a sneaky little hand, Queen 5 of hearts. I raise to $40. The low jack raises to $120. I call. The flop comes Queen of spades, Ace of clubs, 7 of clubs. We've got a little piece of it with second pair. I start with a check. The low jack, that's $110. I'm not going anywhere just yet. I call. The turn is a 2 of clubs. I think about it for a minute and check. He checks behind. The river is a jack of spades. I don't think he has much at this point, so I decide to bet my second pair. I think about the sizing for just a minute. I throw out a bet of $330. Low jack immediately folds. I show my weak queen, and he says, "You had the best hand." We win a $790 pot for the last significant hand of the night. We survived 2-5 and made a little more here at the highest stakes. It's time to rack up, head to the cage, and cash out. Successful night of parlaying it from the low stakes to the high stakes. Let's go. I hope you guys enjoyed my second poker vlog. Leave a comment and let me know what type of content you want to see. More tutorial based or entertainment based. Also, let me know what I could do better to improve the vlog. Hey, what's up, gang? Another successful night at the lodge, just cashed out. We started with $250 on the low stakes table, and then parlayed that up to 1-3, added on just a little bit. Was in the game total for $550, got out of that game for around $1,500, and just cashed out for $29.60, I believe was the total. 29, almost $3,000. It was a great night. Again, practiced my parlay strategy. Start on the low stakes when you're feeling good, run that up, take that winnings onto the higher stakes, and I did it again into even higher, to 2-5. Hope you enjoyed the content. We'll see you next time. Peace.